Hello, hello, hello. Well, it's a fairly inauspicious greeting to you, isn't it? But my word, excuse me, I'm just sitting on this. We are in very different energies yesterday and different energies again today. And so I wanted to come on and discuss that with you, as in get you to have your input. I want us to share what's going on. So I want to perhaps to speak to a little topic and then ask you what's going on for you, and then speak to another topic and get your response about that. But first of all, to me, yesterday we came into different and brand new energies again, and it felt to me that for me, I felt, and I posted about it, that I was kind of ripped wide open and I felt so vulnerable, and I was invited to go somewhere that I usually go to every year, this lovely festival that friends of mine host. And I just knew that it was going to be too challenging for me to be there, that I just needed to be alone with myself and in nature. So I am wondering, I know some of you have already responded to that on the post that I made, but yeah, tell me how you were feeling yesterday. And then today is like a whole new breath, a whole new energy. It feels as though the world has changed overnight. And I know I said this once before, and I also want to say I feel like we're going in a lot of continual mini cycles, but it's like the earth is breathing differently again today. And so I feel that we're in ascension, but we're in this, on the edges of this grand awakening, and we're feeling it. And it's like whatever the divine feminine do is really leading the way, opening the path, laying the track. But now, today, it feels different for the divine masculine. So I don't want to leap ahead to that because I want to engage you in what's going on for you. I have been super tired, super exhausted, and have been going for a lot of therapy to deal with the physical pain in my body from the fall, which seems to just be unraveling and unraveling. And it takes up so much time as well. So that's one of the reasons why I haven't been on here. A good thing that's happened to me is that, if I haven't told you, I've been invited to stay in this dwelling for longer. An annoying thing that's happened is my website is down and has been down for, I'm not sure, at least a fortnight. I attended to it all Monday, a fortnight ago, and they said it would be up and running within 72 hours, and it still isn't up and running. So I'm really sorry if you've been trying to get a hold of me there, but if you need to get a hold of me, send me a message on Messenger or an email to sharon.innersanctum@gmail.com. So actually, I'll just put that in the chat now. Yeah, so even, and I am feeling a bit like that too. Like I want to take a big breath, like I want to relax and just soak up and feel like, definitely like doing less, being more and doing less. So the energies yesterday, they felt as though they were intense and evocative and provocative. And so tell me how. Hello, Charlotte and Debbie and Sweet CC. Aloha, Sweet CC. Talofa lava, Caroline. And hello, Sarah. Hello, Arnico. Yeah, so give me some words about how you felt the energies to be yesterday. So I've just pinned that message to the top for those of you who have just joined. Sweet CC saying last night woke at 2 a.m. and on the 18th woke up yawning and ears popping, intense clearing. Yes, I think I heard other people speaking about their ears feeling blocked. So today it feels to me it's about to write a big shift has happened. Yeah, I agree, Aniko. Sweet CC saying, so I'm in this day now. I can't see anything after the, I think it's because it, I'll just put some X's in there and see if it brings up the rest of your message. Oh, no, I can't see anything after B, Sweet CC. Part of your message hasn't come through. Good morning, Billy. Yeah, so we are, I feel that a lot of the feminine it's like we're learning a new way of being in our power. It is as though we have opened up to this enormous resource that we didn't know we had to the extent that we have it. As in, you knew you were powerful, but you didn't know you were this powerful. And it is that the feminine, I feel it's like we are sitting in the high dimensional space with our arms open wide and our feet spread wide. We are grounding from that higher dimensional space. We're being these very potent conduits into the earth. And so we are feeding down this higher dimensional frequency into the earth whilst we are exploring it, whilst we are relishing in it, whilst we are recognizing that that might be all that's required of us is to be in present moment, to hold space for the breath of the new, and it will permeate from there. So what's your response to that? Debbie, loads of anxiety that had no apparent source yesterday. Yes, thank you, Debbie. That's a match for me too. All right, so today it feels, see, I even want to say that differently. It feels like we're home. It feels like we are home and we are inviting the rest of humanity to join us. It feels like we're home and we're just being the conduit of these higher dimensional frequencies and energies. It feels like we're home and we're opening our arms to the divine to guide us, to show us, to lead us, to invoke the energy. It feels like we're home and we're sitting in this place of surety, of deep, deep knowing, of deep, deep trust, and that we know that the masculine are, I want to say, doing their work. The other day they showed up as the divine feminine, and I did speak about this, but I'll just remind you because it's shifted. The divine feminine in a circle, and we were all dancing. We were dancing with one another, and it was very flowing and goddess-like. And the masculine were in an outer ring around the feminine, but they were dancing on their own, in their own sort of individual space, and they were being very inward and very deep. They were diving deep into themselves. Whereas now I feel the feminine are doing the same, but just from a higher place and with more ease and with a lot of grace. And it's also, that process of the deep and the ancient that's coming up from the cells that we may not even know or understand and don't even probably need to know or understand is coming up for release. And that's really very tiring in itself to process that because it's so dense, because it's so ancient. But then on this other side is this light, ethereal, fluffy, flowing, soft, effervescent sparkly even energy of today. And this energy of today is inviting us to soak in it, to become more of it, to embody it, to be in presence with it, and to operate from this present moment now, knowing that is going to bring codes that bring in our wisdom more, and codes that bring in our better health and our angelic codes, and also that bring in the qualities of youthing as we come into being more of a light being. But the masculine, it's like they've so shifted today, and it feels to me as though they've come into this space of feeling the energy of love in a way that they haven't ever felt before, and that they are like in flow. They've lost the edge, the edge that they were holding that had tension and worry. That's all gone, and they're in this. It feels, it's hard to describe. I think I'm better to describe it as what they are experiencing. It feels like they are experiencing what I'm reading is the energy that the planet is experiencing. So it's like things are shifting by the mere lack of it. So if here is a package of things, that thing that's in there that's good and wholesome and needs to stay, stays there, and the rest of it is being extracted or dissolved or removed. And it feels to me that that's where the masculine are at. So our world, that is happening in our world, where the things that don't serve you, don't serve me, don't serve humanity, don't serve our civilization, our society, our community, our sentient world, they're leaving. So this is another kind of level of what Gaia spoke about, the dimensional frequency of truth. Anything that's not true, anything that's not authentic, anything that doesn't serve us and the world at this point in its evolution is dissolving, is leaving. And so that was something that came to me really clearly this morning when I was speaking to Lottie and speaking to Carol, and we were having different conversations about different topics. But we did talk about the divine masculine in there as well. And it was just this sense that where the divine masculine has sort of held themselves being staunch and serious and powerful, they're holding that. They're still holding that, but they're softening out all, they're dissolving out all that doesn't serve them. And it's as though they're not doing it in any cognitive way. It's as though the energetics of our world are dissolving. All is not true, authentic, and required at this time. So, yes, tell me in the comments what you get, and I'll read them out to the people who aren't here who can look later. Good morning, Melanie. Deep breath work for Charlotte, sudden headaches, having to stay super hydrated. Yes, just be, stillness, not interested in busyness. Yeah, good. I'm sure that that's the advice for all of us. Feels like a super deep connective time to those on a deep journey of just being, stillness and knowingness, really no need for anything else. Thank you. That's great wisdom, Charlotte. Debbie saying loads of sexual energy around her this morning, again with no apparent source. Yeah, well, I would suggest it's likely that that's the masculine energy, either in self or self and other. Billy White yesterday singing the song When the Rains Came Down, the Floods Came Up. When the rain came down, the floods came up. Oh, that's so interesting, isn't it? Because we're in the time of the water. You know, I remember Guy said a long time ago, you know, that there would be great events in the world, and that some of it would come through water, and that, of course, we know that fire is the great transmutation. But also, I want to say that is my knowing or my sense that the fires are not naturally lit, and that this is part though, because it feels right. Like I remember when I saw about the fires in California. I remember the very first thing that came to mind was the fires in Australia. When I don't know, even when 2000, I was living up here, so maybe I don't know, 2019, 2020. Someone who's in Australia might remember. But I remember when I asked Gaia about those fires, because a friend of mine, Denise, she sent me a message and said, "Can you ask Gaia about those fires?" And I said, "Oh yeah, of course I can." So I did, and I said to her about when will the fires be put out. And I can't think of the other time, but there's only two times, and one was more recently, where Gaia spoke to me sternly. She wasn't speaking at me, but she was speaking sternly to me, and she said, "When I am ready, they will be put out. But at the moment, they are burning the blood from all of the murders that have happened in Australia, as there have been many lives lost there." And I want to say that this is has a similar theme. What else? Okay, let's come back to Michael, breathless. um, Still churny in my abdomen today, but not nearly the same. Yeah, so we've got. Oh, yeah, so it was in response to that, Billy, about the floods coming, and I've been sort of laughing at the fact that my grandson is called Noah, and that he holds such wisdom, and that my son and my daughter-in-law were saying to me a couple of days ago that Noah is the 11th most popular name on the planet for this year, or for last year, or at this time anyway. Sarah wanting to be and still navigating that whilst mummying, struggling and feeling volatile today. Okay, well, go gently, breathe deeply. Just try and be with the feelings in the body rather than the emotions. Hi, Fiona from windy Beach Haven. Oh, yeah, we've had very strange weather here in Auckland anyway, well, even in New Zealand, like we haven't really had too much of anything that could be called summer. We've often had weather that is in the night time that's windy and rainy as well. Aniko was saying physically very difficult, but there's such clarity, as if her body and energy system was not going at the same pace. Okay, that's a pretty reasonable description. Who else has been feeling that? And then Charlotte's saying the sexual energies are great to hold space for yourself, to use a deep tantric connection to self. Yeah, and that can be really useful for healing your body as well. So you can send that energy to places in your body that was holding contraction. Rained in Maui yesterday. It literally never rains where she is on the island, and it was magical. Yeah, I've been using that word to myself and out loud to spirit as well. It feels magical. It feels like we are in magical times. So it's this idea. So I was speaking to Carol this morning about this idea and then I remembered that it links to what RFK Jr. has said. I think that's who it is. This idea that it's so strongly whatever Guy said to me links into that same premise. So remember, he was talking about that if it was that particular ingredients which we know are toxic and poisonous, if it was made illicit, illegal for those ingredients to be in food, and they were taken out at that level, so either at the farming cropping level and or at the factory manufacturing level, then the food is different when it lands in the supermarket or lands in the fruit and veggie stall or lands on your plate. It's different because it's been removed. And so that is how I was reading what's happening to the world today, not yesterday, but today, and to the masculine. So anything that is not of truth, anything that is not authentic, anything that doesn't line up for the highest good for you, me, and everyone and everything else is either dissolving or being removed or being extracted. And so I was thinking about that in terms of ascension, that it means that people will become lighter without realizing it. And it will be that it might be a retrospective acknowledgement of just feeling better, because maybe this is time for us. Maybe it's time for, it's not, I don't want to say that people don't have to do their work. I do believe that they do, but it's like that other idea that we've spoken about in a few sort of whirligig moments, where maybe, maybe the healing that I've done in relation to my family history, maybe that means that some people don't have to do that. Maybe some of the healing that you've done about things in your situation, in your life, means that not everybody has to do it, because it's like we've moved to greatest good. And so I'm not sure where the balance will sit with that. So fire your ideas in there into the comment section. But I'm just feeling like, remember we talked about the ink on wet blotting paper and the 100 monkey effect, and I'm kind of feeling like we're moving into a time of that. Now I don't know that that's a forever thing, but I feel like we're moving into that where, something that you do has an impact on the whole, and something that I do has an impact on the whole, and so it's like spreading the load, sharing the work. Yeah, and I just saw a comment that I'll just respond to in a moment, but there's also this idea that things are going on in multiple levels at the same time. And so I see Sweet CC said down here, I'll tell you what she said in here first. It rained in Maui yesterday. It never rains. It was magical. It felt like a rain, REIGN, divine energy. And also 0 eggs in the store. She's in Maui. Something going on with the matrix. She doesn't eat eggs usually, so it doesn't phase her. She just noticed that they aren't in any stores. So there's, on a lower dimensional, nefarious level, there's this intrusion into the whole poultry industry. And so there's a whole lot of baloney, in my view, made up about some kind of chicken disease, some poultry disease, a bird flu that apparently the birds don't get. And apparently that there are rumours, because I'm sure that's all they are, that cows are getting them, sheep are getting them, and chickens are having to be put down, even though they haven't apparently tested any chickens that have got bird flu. So this is all the the malarkey, the backery and wackery, as I call it, that's going on in our world, and it's designed to remove some of our good, healthy food sources. So you can see that happening on this lower dimensional space, but it's like, whoop, we're bypassing that, and I don't mean bypassing in a spiritual way. I mean bypassing in a physical, dimensional way. That's how I'm seeing it anyway. Okay, Debbie's saying there was bird flu breakout in an Otago chicken farm. And then Charlotte's written something in here which is profound. Heal the heart, importantly, because does anything else matter? Everything else is just a story and projection in many cases. And so this is the the answer to all of the questions, really, isn't it? All we need is love. Love leads the way. Drop into the heart, explore the heart, open the heart, be generous to yourself with the love from the heart, and then allow that to permeate out. Eggs mean matrix. Ah, does it? In Latin. Oh, wow. Oh, that's really interesting. Thank you. Thank you. There is such shared wisdom here. Yeah, so let's see. So I feel that we are, we're in ascension. That the first wavers have already shifted to a higher dimension. That in many ways you could say that we've built the bridge and we've crossed it. And the bridge to me was what we were doing, working in the fourth dimension to clear things to get into the fifth. And the bridge is just the fourth dimension in my perception, which is not, there are others, there are other perceptions, there are other perspectives. In my perception and perspective, the fourth dimension is like a little jump that we make. It's what we pass through to get to the fifth, and we don't really dwell there. But we're in the fifth, and we have opened the way for others to follow. And so holding your own space is how you do that. You are really being the attractor factor, if you like, the magnetic pull. And as you are in your heart-centered magnetic pull, your masculine can't resist that anymore because of their relaxation, if you like, of what holds them in the lower. And then when the masculines come to join in with their divine feminine, that creates ripples of love that impact the world and into a loving, higher dimensional experience. Yes, we've all learnt something new about eggs. The Sweet CC saw the bridge as a tsunami that pushed us into a new world. About 4 nights ago, we crossed into a new reality paradigm. Okay, fantastic. And Sarah's saying she's always learning too, and Sweet CC is saying it was a vertical bridge. So for me, I feel that we've had ongoing spiraling up into the next sort of every couple of days. But I felt that yesterday we moved into a much higher intensity space, and that today we've moved again, but maybe more collectively, a collective shift. But it's always good to share perspectives because there's, it's that there's more than one way to do something. Yeah, well, thank you, Sweet CC. We often have almost the same experiences. Fiona's saying, you mentioned working to clear the fourth dimension. You feel that this in part relates to our work and dream space. You just said space. Yes, I do feel that that's what we've been. Well, what I, not in the last 2 days, but what I felt we were doing in the I'm sorry, I have got such a disconnection to time, space, and dimension. But of late, that the divine feminine that we were, and I have written it somewhere or mentioned it somewhere, that we were fighting the bloody fight. So we were sword in hand in the night. So in the dream space, we were in this fourth dimensional space, really clearing the way for all that was sort of, I want to say, tentacling us, all that was holding us down, and it was all about preventing us from ascending. And the twins, both the divine masculine and the divine feminine, were there in the fourth dimension, but the divine feminine would probably have more acuity about it, or more awareness. But it was like fighting the fourth, what I would say, the fourth dimensional creatures. And so that is the, perhaps beings from the dark, from the evil. Certainly, I remembered one morning thinking, oh, of course, because yes, I did write this. So there are a whole group of beings, and we can label them. I try to keep away from labels because labels can get sticky. But anyway, let's call them the satanic, the Luciferian, the evildoers, maybe the Masonic. That there are many of those, remember, who cannot come to the fifth, and for whom we are their sustenance, if you like, their food, their loosh. And so that's why the game is always to keep us in fear. But they can't come to the fifth. So they are battling with us as we are trying to sort of break down their resistance or extricate ourselves from any of that on behalf of humanity, to allow humanity to come into the fifth. But they will fight tooth and nail because they cannot exist in a fifth dimensional frequency. So it's that fingernails off the edge of the cliff. They'll just hang on and hang on and hang on. And so it will be a little bit ongoing, that battle. But essentially we have won. We're there, and we're just sort of, I guess, picking off the leftovers, or there's still some resilience coming from that quarter, but we can't be defeated now. All right. Thank you, Fiona. Charlotte said, since the group 15D Dolphin sound healing connection, life has changed deeply. Wonderful. And Sweet CC saying it's also an astral entity, AI quantum type thing too, the artificial eighth sphere, the abyss. Okay, yeah, definitely the astral entity, AI quantum type thing. That's like another world, isn't it? So they may, I don't know the ins and outs of this, but they may split off into their own creation, and not come with us, is my feeling. I don't know about the artificial eighth sphere, the abyss, but happy to learn about that. And yeah, just invite us all to actually just to place your hands on your heart, close your eyes, have both feet on the floor. Invite you to send a connection thread from your heart up to Source, to God, to Creator. A silver thread. And we just invite Source to send down a sphere of golden light like the sun to come down through the soul star and down to sit on the top of our crown. And then send a thread down through the spine and down into the ground, into the cave of Gaia, connect into the goddess sky. And she sends a golden sun from the inner sun up to be just under your feet at your Earth Star chakra. And just visualize that they are connected to one another, the sun above your head and the sun beneath your feet. It's soft, it's warm, it's permeating, it's moving, meandering through your body to meet. And when it's joined up, take your focus to your heart and envisage it spreading, growing. this love-filled sunshine energy, source sustenance. And invite it to fill your body. So filling your face, your head, your neck, your shoulders, shoulder blades, your collarbone, throat, across the width of your shoulders at the front, into higher heart, upper chest, chest, solar plexus, back and front, across the ribs, back and front, sacral, lower back, hips, flexible, open, able to be in rotation, figure eight, able to birth new ideas as well as beings, root, grounded in deeply, widely, broadly, assisting others to connect into our energies, like a double assist for Ascension. And you just feel all of that heart energy spreading through every cell, lighting every cell up. All the blood lit up, all the fluids, all the bones, the marrow and the blood in the bones, all the muscles, tendons and ligaments, down the arms to the elbows, the forearms, the wrists, the fingers, the palms, the fingernails, the fingertips, the buttocks, the groin, the thighs, knees, shins, calves, ankles, feet, toes, toenails, soles. Filled with this loving energy that you hold for yourself, for Gaia, for humanity. Breathing in and out, feeling your entire body tingling with this energy. Taking a position where you're slightly removed from self, viewing self. Viewing all of us here on the call. I want to say it's quite gorgeous. The vision I'm showing, which may be different to yours, is as though each of us are like a leaf that has a curl in it made of glass, and we're all different colours, and it's very sparkly, and we are spinning around. That's how I'm seeing this group. So just bring yourself back to the space when you're ready. Sweet CC's saying Rudolf Steiner talks of the eighth sphere. I must read his material. I never have. And I know that Fiona, who's on here, her kids went to Steiner School, and that she references incredible wisdom from him as well. So I really must look that up and write that on my notes. So I wrote website, energies, masculine, world. That was all I wrote on my notes today, because it's really that we're in the fields of it, in the fields and in the fields, and we're in this expansion, and it feels like everything is different, like that our systems are going to run differently and within us and within our world, and it feels like it might just kind of something exits and what is left is what we work with. Something comes in and it impacts either something that needs to go, or it enlivens something that's already here. And like we're moving into things like enlivenment of the molecular structure of our world, and that enlivenment has connectedness, it has interconnectedness. So you and I are going to be more connected, and you and the grass that you put your feet on, we're more connected. The everything, the birds, the trees, the wind, the everything is having all this enlivenment, and this is us in our higher dimensional experience, is that everything is this experience of the energetic. You're welcome, Monica. And Sweet CC saying Gigi Young has a YouTube channel, and she does his lectures and is brilliant. And Gigi Young, Gigi is spelled Gigi, so I must look her up. And Charlotte is saying she would suggest the body needs lighter foods, as with this new alignment we are vibrating differently, and to nourish deeply with heartfelt foods. That's great advice. I have been felt to fast, although I haven't, because I don't know, this physical thing I'm going through, this sure ain't fun, and I just have been so tired. So I am kind of on the feeling that I'm going to have moved through it in a couple of weeks. That's my sense of it. And so when I've done that, I'm going to do some fasting. But yeah, eating lightly is really good. It makes it more the microbioavailability, I would call it. It makes that more accessible. And so being gentle with your digestive system, I guess. And, each of us, that might be different for each of us. Hello, Louise. Lovely to see you. Yeah, so I will, I'll pop back on when I can, and I'm grateful for you joining me here and for your brilliant contributions. And yeah, we'll see, because it feels that I haven't tuned into Gaia about the energies. Oh, did I? No, maybe. I'm not sure. I'll check. No, I didn't. I haven't tuned in to hear about the energies in terms of writing anything today. But there's this sense also that we're just in this build up to have a bigger tip. And it really feels to me, and I'm getting all in my body when my mind knows I'm about to say this, that the 20th is freaking huge. Now, it's huge for a number of reasons, and like I got that I think when I was down at Mum's, I wrote something about that. So I'll go in and find it because I haven't necessarily shared everything that I wrote because she doesn't have Wi-Fi. So I sometimes did some things on my phone. But it's my sense that, whilst we're tipping incrementally into these new energies, this new way of being, that come the 20th. So who knows, it could be the 19th, 20th, 21st. I always feel like in New Zealand that we tip into the energies, but we don't feel the full extent of them until more of the world is tipped into the day, if that makes any sense to anybody. But that we are going to be in our new way, that these things that certainly I channeled information about this, I think, in 2018. But this is the timing of our or one of the timings of our ascension. And so it's interesting that we are having this lineup of, I think, 6 or 7 planets, sort of, can't remember the date, and the full moon, nowish. It's in this nowish time in our skies. So they're not actually in a line, they're in an arc, but from the Earth's perspective, it shows up like a line, and that they're quite powerful planets. And some of them we've got, and I don't know the astrology, but we've got a planet that's, we've got constellations that are leaving, constellations that are coming. It's like a whole turnover of era. And I didn't know that when I was writing about the 20th feeling significant. But then, of course, I realized that that's also Trump's inauguration day. And there was something else that came around it, because we're in the second part of January. So it felt like the first half and the second half were like 2 separate sets of energies. And then yesterday felt brand new again, and today feels brand new again, and it feels like we're creating some collective soup, if you like, that's going to impact everyone and everything, sort of like a great wash. And that maybe the 20th is I want to say, seals the deal, that when we come into the 20th, it seals the deal. And so I have felt, and I've been speaking to Carol, who knows a lot about common law. Her and I've been speaking about this for probably 5 years, that there would come a time when people are like remunerated, they're gifted, there's funding that comes from our, on this other dimensional level, there's funding that is our human right, which fits with what Gaia said to me ages ago about how humanity needs to be and shall be funded for its needs, like warmth, clothing, shelter, food, and that there's there's lots of bits and pieces to the story, like the I'll just mention this. I mentioned a couple of things. So firstly, I was shown a long time ago that China would be impacted by the red and golden dragon, and it was as though that sort of swept through China and changed it. And so I was speaking to a Chinese woman last week about what would that mean to her. What does that symbology mean to her? And she said that it's like the colours to do with royalty. It's the colours to do with people who are living in this higher way of being, and it's the color of wealth, but it's all sorts of wealth. It's wealth in terms of money, and in terms of health, and in terms of well-being, and in terms of family, and I've probably missed some things, but I found that really interesting. So a long time ago, I got given some things about that, and then I also read a story which feels right to me, ages and ages ago, about this group of feeling this all in here, this group of Chinese male elders who hold the gold for the world, and that they are holding the gold for good, like for good and for the good of humanity, and that they will dispense it in the right timing. So yeah, that could be some aspect of it. I know that Carol has this, so she's psychic as well, and she had this vision that was corroborated by something in the tangible real world, that there were a whole lot of, I don't know, I can't even remember whether it was a ship or ship, 5 shiploads of gold, I think, or something like that, that were returned to New Zealand, taken from the mines. So, you know, we have had a lot of gold in New Zealand, in Otago, in central Southland, I think, and in the Coromandel, and there'll be other places. And so, you know, this is this shift, right? We are shifting. Guy said that we would have an international currency of some description. That to me is looking like it's going to pan out to be crypto, probably XRP or Ripple is my read on that. And then I'm trying to gather the threads in that are relevant. Yeah, that this is our rightful resource. And then there's, you know, all the stuff about common law and what our birth certificates have been traded through the Vatican for monies that our government has basically solicited and used without our permission. So there's a lot of that. But we're going to have change that is going to behave a bit like the a dominoes pattern. You know, it's just going to go boop, 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 boop. But remember, government, economy, and health is what Gaia said would be the first to go. And so this is what we're seeing right now in terms of the revealing. We're seeing the truth, right? The truth of the corruption that's gone on in government circles and in the royal family, and here in England and the US and other countries. And then we are learning more about where the money comes from, where the money sits, who really owns the money and who has been using the money. And then the whole banking systems, there's been massive collapse in some of the big central banks. The International Monetary Fund apparently doesn't have any money. So this will all be somehow remedied and rectified. And so what Gaia told me was that we would have an international currency, and then each country would have their own currency, and it would be backed by their own resource. And it doesn't have to be, is what she said. I could be wrong. My interpretation of it could be wrong, but that it will be our own resource, our own country's resource. And so that could be a mineral resource that is different to, you know, this gold or silver or I don't know, whatever else there is, lithium. I want to say something that starts with Z, but I only know zirconium, and that's a synthetically attended to metal, precious stone. And there's one more thing I was going to say in there. No, I can't remember. Oh, so we're seeing the corruption in government. We're seeing that there's some collapse in those systems, and I think that's really what I see Trump is doing. It's like we're going to have politics for the people. We're going to have politics by the people. And so decisions will be made not for profit, but for people. So we're going to have that shift. And it'll be more sort of egalitarian. There'll be a broader spectrum of people who have input into it. It's always been shown to me as groups of people who have an interest, and that includes children coming to, you know, voice their opinion.
And so their current systems, which are very much the old boy network systems, they are breaking down. We're watching them. We're seeing the contracts that have been signed by Pfizer, the instructions given by the Australian government to its pharmacy industry. And so that's come out in their parliament in the last week. So we're beginning to see the truth of how we have been manipulated and lied to coming out in the tangible, physical news or whatever. Yeah, let's see what else is in here. Yeah, so government, health, banking. Yeah, so we know the banking's collapsing or collapsed. We know that. Like I got today, Carol and I have been having these conversations about, well, how do we think that the government will give the people back their money? And today I had this idea. So we've spoken about it. It might be it won't be that everyone gets a blanket amount. It will come out like this because it will create chaos if all of a sudden everybody finds out that all New Zealanders are given $1 million. Then if the values haven't shifted, then there'll be greed that comes. So it will come out in different ways, I feel. And today I thought, it could be that now I've forgotten it. Oh, there was something new that came today. Well, I sat up in bed this morning and I sat there for a bit having a little process of some of these things. And yeah, that's the thing about not writing things down when you're in that other space. That's why I usually have my notebook with me. What was it? Anyway, I feel that it will come from fictitious rationale, like, we've discovered that we've discovered that in 1953 there was this account set up by the government that's been held by the Bank of England, and we only just found out about it, and it's got enough money in there for everyone to be given $200,000 this week. I kind of feel like we might have these, these kind of stories that come. So it's the outcome is, the rationale is not the whole truth, but the outcome shifts people. And in meditation, and I wrote some of this the other day, but it's this whole idea that the big thing that we as the feminine, in particular, the feminine energy, that what we are doing is shifting the values of humanity. So we have to become more heart-centered. We have to become less egocentric. We have to become more concerned about the greater good for animals, for our environment, for families, for the good of all. We have to become more mindful about removing the toxins and poisons that harm us, that harm our children, that harm our food. So it seems to me that I've always felt like that's how some of this gets delivered. It's like, we've just discovered that fluoride is a neurotoxin. And there's just been this study completed by and it shows unequivocally that this is harmful. And so it's going to be removed now. And so I just feel like we're going to have it come out like that. Stories to cover their butts. Well, maybe, Sarah, but I actually feel that it is like we can sit in this camp where we want retribution and punishment, and that everyone needs to be seeing what's being done that's wrong. But for me, I feel that we go to this higher level. Need to use this arm because this arm still is a bit of a struggle. When at a higher level, because it's about shifting the entirety of humanity and of the planet. So, for example, there's been a lot of sightings of craft, of and there's been like, are they drones? Are they space? Are they off? I call those beings off planet beings. Are they aliens? Are they off planet beings? Are they government? Are they black hat? Are they white hat? And what I think is it was a whole mishmash of all of it. But what it has done, it has introduced the construct to humanity that we might not be as alone as we thought, because that's a bit of a broad thought, collective thinking of humanity. And so the collective thinking of humanity has to be prepared for that. And then if we get into fisticuffs about right and wrong and what you did and what you didn't do, then it keeps our vibration low. And so we need to come to this higher vibration where we can see it as the, if you like, as the experiment, the Gaian experience, which is a series of experiments. Can we do it? Can humanity ascend through the physical form? That's one of the interests of off-planet beings that Gaia explained to me a long time ago, is that no one ever in the history of the omniverse has ever ascended whilst in physical form. And that is what we are doing. We are in transmigration from carbon to crystalline molecular structure. And that has never been done before. Usually to go to that higher place, the whole planet has, or the entire species has been decimated, and then we come back again as soul. And in this case, we are doing this in this incredible way, which is why there's so much off-planet interest. Anyway, it's a bit of a prattle, but I think that we can see that, as I do anyway, as a lower dimensional avenue, and I feel that we're going to skip past it. And so it might be that there are people who will be held to account. It may be that people have already been held to account. That's also my feeling on it, that many people have perhaps already been held to account, and we are witnessing a story being played by clones or actors in order to take humanity along the trail so that humanity basically doesn't suicide, because a lot of this would have been and would be super confrontational. So you'll remember ages ago I spoke about how God said that we would be watching it now from the fifth dimension, that we would be either in ascension or have ascended before we're shown all of the truth of the lower dimensional earth experience, because the frequency of being confronted with the truth while we're here now, for maybe not for us, but for those who have not yet awakened, would be too much, and the cognitive dissonance would be massive, and they would drop the collective frequency, and then we'll be we're back to 2,000 years ago of where humanity is at. So yeah, that's my little rant about it. What else is in here? So I don't, I mean, we know that we'll be covering there, but some of those people we know that they have done horrific things, and yet from a higher perspective, from the perspective of Creator, maybe part of this has been part of the experience, that we have all been everything, like it's something I did a number of years ago, before I moved up here. Actually, I remember I spent 3 weeks walking around the house. Every time the people I was living in the house with, I was the only person who worked from home, and so when they were all at work, I would be walking around, declaring, I am the murderer, I am the murdered, I am the perpetrator, I am the victim, and I would go through all of those words, in a bid to admit that my soul has had many experiences, and some of which I know and some of which I don't, but this claiming self as being on the spectrum of many things. and to own that, and therefore to own responsibility and to own, I guess, the desire to heal it and change it. Sarah's saying, get that, feel that people have been carried out already. Yes, we may have to live out the reality for the rest of humanity to catch up. Maybe. But I feel that we are in this movement for ascension now, and that the collective will tip shortly, and that it's like the first wave are already in ascension mode, have had ascension experiences, and that it's like as the first wave tips into having ascended, living in this fifth dimensional experience, which I'm sure some of you are already doing, then that's like permission slips for more to be pulled in. And then as that gets bigger, that's the blotting paper analogy. Remember the ink on wet blotting paper? It's like, come, it's beautiful here. Come and be in this vibration. Come and be in this experience. People's hearts are being opened by, we've had 3 heart openings. The masculine had 3 heart openings in the last 2 years. They impact the collective. To me, the feminine forge the way, lay down the tracks, and the masculine are clearing out the old and pulling down the pillars that hold up the matrix. And so, they will be joining us as that group, if you like, and then so I believe that we're in that now, in that union window for the twins, the divine counterparts, the divine partnerships to come together. We're in that window now, and that as they come together, what Guy always said is that sends a ripple of unconditional love out across the planet that impacts humanity. And then, so we've got sort of that aspect happening. We've got the solar emissions from the sun, which are impacting our DNA, which are causing us to be flushed out, if you like, the things that we don't need to hold on to any longer, the density, the old stories and wounding from our past. All of that's one whole story. So we've got that coming in, the light coming in from the sun, flushing us out. This higher accelerated spin is helping with that as well. We're having more light, so we're recognizing more of who we are. We're expending more love, emitting more of the pulsation of that frequency of love. And so that impacts the people around us. And then that has this ongoing flow effect. The masculine arrives, and that sends out a big ripple of unconditional love. If you are in one of these connections, that it's a love beyond anything that you've ever experienced. And then, we will be changing into the new. We'll be developing and designing the systems, the new way of being. But we're at the beginning part of that, and I believe that we are likely to have, and that's what I've spoken to Gaia about as well, is that by the end of the first quarter of this year now, because we're in January, of course, but so by the end of March, April, end of March, middle April, sort of around there, that we will have had planetary ascension. So, don't bet any money on my word, but that's my read of it. January the 25th. Yes, or is it the 25th everywhere? I had a funny feeling it was the 24th in some places and the 25th. But yeah, the big alignment coming up. So we've got the 20th is definitely a big date for something that certainly has been standing out to me. I think it might be the beginning of an astrological calendar, I think. Anyway, thank you. It's great sharing here, because it's this beautiful collective wisdom, and I'm so grateful to all of you. DMSO, they Sullivan roll on. Okay, what does that stand for? I'll write it down anyway, I can look it up. Yes, so it would seem that I've been to so many different places, but I'm sure that there's deeper meaning in what I'm doing, because it's like all of my systems are being looked at. But it's like I don't have any fractures and I don't have any breaks, and I have like a strain or a sprain, but it's been in both the ligaments and in the muscles and the wrenching through the shoulder, and then the twisting of the ankles and or the bruising of both ankles and the twisting or spraining of one. And what has been interesting is that I knew that I was bruised for a month, and then the pain started to come. And so now I am going to go to I'm going to a chiropractor. Oh, well, I've never been. I'd never been to an acupuncturist before. I'd never been to physio before. It's this whole new experience, and I have never been to chiropractic. So, I've always been very alternative with who I go to. So I've always gone to Contact Care, for example, for any physical things, and they undo impact injury, and that was my first port of call. So I'm going to a chiropractor that was recommended by my personal trainer. So I'm going to see him in a couple of days, and yeah, it's just to check that things are coming into the right spaces. Thank you, Debbie. Oh yeah, and I went to the GP, and he has put me on some anti-inflammatories, so I have started taking those. Okay, yes, I must have a look. I'm not very good at remembering those things, but I think that, and I didn't bring all of my nutrients, but I do have some good nutrients, and I might have some MSM actually. So that's good. I will have a look for some DMSO. But in the meantime, I'm learning about some other therapies. I'm meeting some local practitioners. I'm discovering more about the Chinese way of working with the body, which is just fascinating. And getting there. Yeah, so I think put more light on economic ascension. Yes, Rika. Well, I feel that that's already in play, but it's just that like years ago, Guy told me that it would be that order: government, economics, and health. And the thing is that our economy, or our way of being with our economy, is going to go through several transitional phases, and ultimately we'll have a lot of technology that assists us. So I won't speak for you. I don't want to go down that road of everything being AI. I would say that will be what some people do. That will be part of our split off, if you like, and that we will like live in different dimensional spaces. I'm not sure how exactly that will work, but we can certainly have technology that we use as tools. And then what was the other thing? Sweet CC saying sulfur, which is also called brimstone, as in fire, very relatable to the energies. Yeah. So I don't know if I finished that story, but the story of Australia was burning the blood. The story of, and honestly, it was one of the most touching things I've ever seen. So I went, I sort of astral travel and speak to Gaia sometimes, and I went with her, and I cried because she was inside the planet and she was under the landmass of Australia, and she had these pads that were the equivalent of single mattresses, and one of the things that she said to me was that she needed to heal the ground from beneath before the waters would come, because I asked her, when will the rains come? And that was one of the things she said, when I say. and then I saw her, and she had these wet mattresses, and she's doing this on the segment in the inner earth, which I regard as under Australia. And she said, because otherwise this land has to be soothed, so that it can receive the water without the water breaking it open. I don't know, seem to be going all over the place here. What else was there here? Oh, yeah. So this fire thing. So you'll remember, Sweet CC, we spoke about this in Hawaii. So Hawaii holds a very big heart portal for the planet, and that is what Gaia said was part of the fire there. It was, they were trying to destroy the portal, but she said it's too powerful. They won't be able to. But we know that it was to do also with, that all the children who went missing, and that's the whole Hollywood thing as well, and the dumbs. And so it's like we have this revealing of information over here, and now we've got the revealing of Hollywood, and that is going to break open a lot of people's minds to things that have gone on that have been hidden. So to do with pedophilia, to do with all of the alliances that are made, the money that's passed, the blackmail that goes on, the corruption that sits underneath, and also the messages that are given out through that media. So it's a lot. It's a lot for us to receive. But what I feel is that maybe people who are in their early 30s, I feel it's that group that will be mostly affected by Hollywood, because it's their group where Hollywood was held up to be their idols. So sorry, that's all these bits I'm throwing in, and I haven't got any notes to run by to see if I'm making any sense. Anything else? What have we got? We do live in the same space, but different frequencies. Yeah, that's right. So we don't, it's like, if you think about the aeroplane propeller, that's the easiest way to think about dimensions, is that when it's still, we can see it. When it's spinning faster, it becomes invisible. And so that will be the contrast. So we'll be able to move back and forth. It won't be, we'll move dimensionally, but it's not like we're moving physically. It's energetic. And so it won't be that our family won't be accessible, or people who are learning in a lower dimensional frequency experience. Hawaii fire vortex, NZ is water vortex, the spinning moving vortex points, which is also another level of why we're moving through us and through our lands. Yes, yeah, that's right. So each planet, each landmass holds various aspects of the waves, and there's so many ways that we could describe the Earth. So we could describe it as the physical, geographical, and of land and ocean. We could describe it as the pyramids that sit, as Gaia has said, above and below, hidden, known, unknown, underground and underwater, some upside down and some up the right way, some when they are activated, and they have been activated, they've also been sped up. The activation has been sped up. They create this beautiful shape internally And how I can describe it is, I was just looking at the lotus flower I've got on my other screen. But if you think about a metal disc or plate, that's how they show up internally to me. The energetic that's created by the pyramids is this plate internal, and from that plate comes off, I think, two. If you imagine a big daisy with sort of pointed flowing petals, it's like two of those, one higher and one lower of this central plate. That is the shape that's formed when all of the pyramids, internal of the earth, external of the earth, are connected. And they have, she's definitely run like a trial through all of those. It's definitely been set up and activated, and I know it was sped up a little bit, but it's not at full speed yet as far as I know. There's a lot there's a lot that I have been given. I've been writing notes from her since 2014 or 2016. So that's one way that we could see our Earth. Another way we can see our Earth is as a toroidal field, and that the torus energetically sits around. We can also see it as two like a star tetrahedron, so two pyramids that fit into one another, the masculine and the feminine, and one spins one way and one spins the other. We could see it as a rod and cross as well. We could see it as segments, so we could see it as like 4 quarters of segments with spaces that have their own vortex, their own toroidal field, and that is how I've been showing our new heart as well. So yes, Lake Rotopunamu is our womb lake. Pretty sure. Sorry, no. That's no, Lake Rotopunamu is the heart lake, and Lake Rotuiti is the womb lake, I think. Yeah, so there's a lot that goes on with the various aspects of our Earth. There's been a lot of points that have been activated. There's still a few more to go in some of the sacred places. Remember that all of the systems of our Earth, the systems, rhythms, seasons, all of that has been infiltrated and is being returned to its original blueprint. And so we're in flow with at least some of that has begun. And it will happen incrementally, so that it's like when we're changing, right? It doesn't serve us to change everything at once. It's too hard on the body. So that's the same with the Earth. Couldn't it, Fiona, the high heart? Yeah, I must tune in and find out more about that here. Yeah. So yeah, we could put together some notes around that, but it is like the spinning vortexes, the toroidal fields, the openings, the connections, if you think about the sine wave, that's another way that various points can be connected on the Earth. We have the electromagnetic fields as well, and then we have, our physical, the etheric, the electromagnetic, the biosphere, and the connection into the other systems. So there's a lot. Cathedral Rock and Lost Spring, yeah, they are powerful, aren't they? Castle Hill in The South Island is a very powerful place as well. And the most ancient part, Freddie Silver, who you might know of, who's an international explorer, really, exploring the ancient history of land, he says that opposite, I think it might be called Tari, but I might be wrong. Anyway, the opposite Castle Hill, there's a point, a land, a stone that marks the equinox that he says dates back to the earliest artifact found in New Zealand, and that is, I can't tell you the date, but it's Egyptian of origin. Waiheke Island has lots of interesting kind of portals on it, doesn't it? Both internal of the land and also in the sky. Yeah. So we have a lot of very powerful and significant landmarks here. And we know that this land goes back to the ancient Lemurian and maybe older, and that a lot of that is hidden. That some of the things that have been found here, like the Kaimanawa Wall in Northland, that the government have put a moratorium on that, and guess the date. It can't be available to be released to the public, this information, until 2032. Anyway, we know that 2032 is a significant calendar date for the Golden Age, although what Gaia is telling me is that we will be in the Golden Age then. So we will have all of our new systems will be set up by the beginning of 2027, and then we'll be working to develop them and working with them as we change in the way in which we do things, so that by 2032 we are working in that golden era. Oh, how beautiful, Billy. That's fantastic. So there's a lot of wisdom and knowledge held here in this group, and I'm really grateful that we come and share. So I'm going to go now, and I wish you a beautiful day. Soak up these energies, connect into whatever is the biggest sort of nature energy where you are, connect in with your heart and your feet, and do that exercise with the sun ball every day as we are connecting up to this new level as our, well, remember this other thing that Gaia has said, and it's like we get a bit like a baseball shunt. But the thing that she has said to me that always brings me internal tears is that we will return to our planet, to our rightful place in the galaxy as the interdimensional destination point and the living library of the universe. And so that is what we are in preparation for. And it's always been shown to me that it is that we move further into the photonic belt, but I may have just read that wrong, because of course the photonic belt moves, but we're certainly moving into the more dense level of photons, and the photons are in my understanding, they are the light waves, if I can call them that, that impact our ascension and our DNA up leveling. So we're really going through this DNA. I always want to call it healing, soothing, smoothing, reconnecting, and activating. And so all of our gifts, when we have that, we'll have the knowledge of our own soul history will be, we'll just know it all. We'll be these incredible, miraculous healers, philosophers, readers of the energy, and using all of the various clairs. Fiona's a librarian. Fiona holds a huge amount of knowledge. She's incredible what she knows. And Billy said, took 2 photos One looks like a dragon, and definite ley lines there. Yeah, so the ley lines, they show up to me in my work with Gaia as pulsating lines. So they run the energy, but when they are doing their thing, they are pulsating. So you could see that the ley lines are like the veins and arteries in our body. That's the best way I can describe it. I would definitely love to see that dragon photo. All right, big hugs. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you again soon.